All right, everybody, welcome to the Fox 10 and News Now stream. I'm your host, Mike Page. Breaking news tonight. Fox News just getting this information in, and wow, this is really something. Lawmakers are probing a claim against President Obama's Department of Justice. They claim that the DOJ aided an Iraqi terror suspect just days before the November election. Let's get right into it, folks, because this is really something, and something could be going on. Federal lawmakers are investigating the possibility that senior Department of Justice officials interfered in a terrorism probe involving a refugee just prior to the November election in an effort to deny campaign momentum to Donald Trump. That's what Fox News has learned. The Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee has launched a formal inquiry into the Texas case in which a terror suspect's pending arrest was allegedly spiked just a week before the election. Trump had run on a tough on terror platform and had been critical of President Obama's refugee policy. Now, this is when the Joint Terrorism Task Force and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Texas sought to prosecute this certain refugee. The local law enforcement and prosecutors allegedly, quote, met resistance from officials within the National Security Division's counterterrorism section in Washington, D.C. That's coming from the committee chairman, Ron Johnson, a representative from Wisconsin. That's what he wrote in a March 6th letter to now U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions. The resistance allegedly occurred a few weeks before the 2016 election, and local authorities believe the lack of progress in the case was handled inadequate, Johnson wrote. The suspect, an Iraqi man who had entered the U.S. under a false name, is now at large. His real name has not been released. Think about that, everyone. A suspect, an Iraqi man who had entered the U.S. under false premises, under a false name, is now at large. Fox News has learned that the JTTF confirmed through U.S. Special Forces who encountered the suspect during operations that he had participated in attacks against American troops as an insurgent. At some point, the Iraqi entered the U.S. through the refugee program. His activities in the U.S. triggered an investigation by JTTF members who planned to charge him with visa fraud while they investigated possible further charges. Johnson said this case demonstrates the challenge of vetting people with little documented history in countries where there's no clear paper trail. Now, Fox News has independently been able to confirm the details of the investigation. Neither officials from the U.S. Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Western Texas, nor the Joint Terrorism Task Force could be reached for comment on this story. U.S. officials said earlier this week that nearly a third of the FBI's 1,000 ongoing domestic terrorism investigations have involved those that have entered the U.S. as refugees. The refugees are admitted to the U.S. based on the story that they tell of persecution, and they are not required to produce identity documentation or any types of documentation. If the person seeking entry is a persecutor, he would have to specifically tell his story that matches information obtained by U.S. Customs and Immigration Services personnel